him!
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the intro there, something a little bit different for the channel. Today we're going to be having a look at the Tectonic Innovations Quake grenade. So this is the 7-shot grenade which holds 7 primers. It's called the Qu8ke because there's 8 clicks, the 8th being safe. So let's have a look at the breakdown of this. Here is our base which comes off, and this is the housing for the little primers. There's 7 of them. Obviously you put your primers on, pop this back in, get a little twist, and you're good to go. And just flick it between each of the individual settings for the primer that you want to use. So the way it operates is it's an impact grenade. So this little head here moves around when this grenade hits a surface with a sudden force. Obviously it'll force this to move. If we take this apart, you'll see that when this moves, this little firing pin comes through here, and that's what's going to set off your primer. So it works identical to the likes of the TRMR, where a sudden impact will cause a primer to come down as well. So this is my TRMR with the multi-shot base. You can see there that much like the Quake, it's got a little head which moves and it shoots a firing pin down to connect with the primers, which will then set them off. So the Quake grenade is very easy to take apart, as you've seen. We can even take apart the top section here. Here's our housing. So that's your spring and your little firing pin there, and to put it back together, just pop it back in there. This can also be taken apart. You can take the head off. The one thing I would recommend with these is to put Loctite on these threads, because it does come apart quite easily. And we'll have a look at some footage here, just showing that as I'm tossing my grenade around.
Oh shit. We got another one, dude. Son of a bitch!
So as you can see from the footage here, the primer is struck, but not struck with enough force to actually set it off, so it's rendered the primer useless.
Okay. Fuck's sake. Was that you hit me, man?
So as you'll see here again, this has bounced off some soft objects, i.e. these sandbags, which has not been a hard enough impact to set the primer off, but it has been enough of an impact to dent the primer and again render it useless. And once again here you see it bouncing off a soft object.
Ah! Whew, I got no one else. Oh, shit.
He's going in, the right hand.
Here, man.
In this scenario you can see that the Quake doesn't go off, but I continue to throw my TRMR, which again doesn't go off, so I can't blame this purely on the Quake. And here we have a quick example of how the grenade should be thrown. So this is the grenade I've used. Now I have also used this with a 3-shot base, and this is one of the original bases. This is from the first batch, this base is from the second batch, so you can have a quick look at the solid base on that. We'll have a look at this. This is a second batch grenade, and you can see it's hollow there instead of solid like this one. So all of the grenades that you'll probably receive moving forward, will probably be more like this as opposed to this. And you can see the difference here on the base as well. So it's a very simple grenade, guys. Not really a lot to explain. So what I'm going to do here is have a look at kind of what has happened since the release of the Tectonic Innovations Quake grenade. So originally when these were first released, there was a post on the UK Airsoft Community Facebook group. Basically someone throwing the grenade onto grass and it wouldn't go off. So there was a whole kind of hoo-ha about, you know, oh, this isn't that great, you know, like throwing it onto objects and it's not going off. So here is a post released by Tectonic Innovations themselves, just addressing the situation. So as you can see, it's obviously not meant for soft surfaces like grass or mud and things like that there. Typically you only use this type of grenade in an indoor scenario anyway, because you're not going to be out in the open throwing heavy grenades around. You can get single-use grenades and whatnot for that type of thing. So here's a quick look at the response that I have put out. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. And this is another cool thing that I found on the Facebook group if anyone's interested in a timed version of this type of grenade. But what I'm going to do right now is show you some comparison footage of the new version of the base that has been released.
This boy's about to get fucked up! Fucking hell! Oh. Fuck off!
So we're still experiencing the issue where we throw the grenade onto a hard surface and it still doesn't go off. So the new base hasn't fixed that, at least.
Yeah. Hooey. Oh, it's weird. That's not supposed to happen. Sorry. Is that one of the Quakes? Yeah, man. Might need some Loctite.
So So like I mentioned before, this is the very reason I've suggested we put Loctite on these threads. It seems to come apart very easily after a few throws, so you don't want to lose any parts on the field.
Well,
here's just some quick footage of me putting it back together on the field, just to give you an idea of how quick and easy it is to put it back together.
are they in there? Are they in there? Oh!
So as you can see, there are times where the grenade will go off, won't go off, and it really just depends on the surface that it's impacting. Again, softer surfaces are going to absorb some of that impact, so it's not going to have that sudden shock and force the firing pin straight down onto the primer and give it the kick that it needs for it to go off. So this is an example of times when the grenade hasn't gone off. So there's a fresh primer there. Let's have a look. So as you can see, both primers still loaded, but one has a little mark on it. So that's a time where the grenade has impacted off a soft surface, but hasn't actually been hard enough of an impact for the primer to be set off, but it'll still create that indent, which then causes issues whenever you're trying to throw it again. If you were trying to use that same, so if I kept it on number 2 and tried to throw it again, there's an indent there, so the primer won't be able to strike it as hard and travel as far down to the primer to cause that explosion. So once that kind of happens, it renders the primer kind of useless, which is really annoying. So that is probably one of my main gripes, but to be fair, that has happened with the TRMR before as well, so it's not guaranteed it will go off every single time you throw it unless you're throwing it quite hard into a concrete surface. So let's now talk about the two bases that we have here. So, well, one is a 3-shot, one is a 7-shot base. But like I said, this base is from the first ever batch of the Tectonic Innovation Quake grenades. This is from the second batch where they had to redesign the base itself. So as we can see, this is quite solid. This is hollow. As well as that, you can see that there's a lot more porting on the base as well as porting on the side as well. Reason for this is there were a few reports of grenades double firing. So essentially you would throw it, you would have it set to number 1, and you would throw the grenade and 2 primers potentially would go off. One wouldn't be having like a pin indent on top to show that, but what was essentially causing it was too much back pressure, and that was setting it off. So that's why they've created a hollow kind of area on this grenade and create a lot more porting on the base itself. I originally thought that I was having that issue with this grenade, but it turned out that really it was just an issue where the grenade was impacting softer surfaces, or maybe the firing pin wasn't hitting the primer as hard as it needed to set it off. So I was throwing the grenade, it was bouncing off the ground, not going off, and then I picked it up, looked at it, and could see that there was an indent in it, but the primer hadn't gone off. So it was just my own stupidity. I didn't realize that that was what was actually happening, but I thought I had one of the bases that was causing the back pressure and causing it double fire, but turns out it was just soft surfaces really. So in another recent post on the UK Airsoft Community Facebook group, I have seen someone comparing the Tectonic Quake to the Alpha Tech grenade, and a lot of people saying that it's basically a copy. I'm not going to say it's not a copy. At the end of the day, the designs are incredibly similar, and it probably takes a lot of inspiration from the likes of that, but it's not identical. Saying that would also be like comparing it and saying that the TRMR design is identical to this as well, and that they had taken the design from the TRMR. At the end of the day, they need a firing pin system to fire off the primers So it's going to have a very, very similar design. It's just the shape and the design of it that really will be a factor in whether or not it is a copy or not. But as far as I'm concerned, this grenade is not a copy of any other grenade. So while we're on the subject of the design of the grenade, I do have some gripes about it. So for a start, when you have a look at this base, the safety itself is literally just a raised surface where there's no insert for a primer. So my problem with this is that the firing pin is able to move down, as you can see, and impact that surface itself. Now over time that may cause wear on the firing pin, and it may need replaced as a result, because as you know, sometimes the grenade hasn't gone off when it's supposed to have, and that could be a factor in it, that the firing pin isn't quite as sharp as what it needs to be to impact that primer and set it off. So that could potentially be an issue. Again, I don't have the science behind it, but in my opinion it would have been simple to just create a little indent there for the firing pin itself to seat in without it actually impacting any surface. So what I mean by that, as you can see, it's flat surface with a little firing pin poking out the end of it. If the impact was on the surface around the edge of it rather than the actual pin head itself, there wouldn't be any issue. But because the firing pin itself is hitting that surface, that's what I take issue with. So another noticeable difference between the two grenades that I have here, so the TRMR and the Tectonic Quake, is the safety feature. So as I've explained, that firing pin hits on that kind of hard surface. On the TRMR, the safety is a twist. So whenever you twist this up, it locks this little head in place and it cannot be moved. So the firing pin cannot go down, essentially. In my opinion, this is a better safety feature in design than this. But one noticeable difference for the head of the TRMR is that this piece of metal here is much lighter than this piece. So this is considerably smaller than this. Now the reason why I think that might be a slight design flaw is that when you move this around, you can even hear it. You can hear and feel this head moving around. So if you're throwing this grenade really hard, as you can see there, that's a slight force, it's not a hard force, it's already causing it to move. And whenever you've got it set to use one of your primers, that is going to create a small impact on that primer. So what you could result with is a slight impact on the primer, and then whenever that firing pin wants to hit the primer again, whenever it impacts that surface, there's already a slight indent there. So there's less surface for it to push through and cause that primer to go off. So that could be one of the main reasons why sometimes when you throw the Tectonic Quake grenade, the primers don't go off. Now again, I don't have the science to prove this, but that is my opinion on this. I feel like the head could be made a lot smaller. There's bound to be a way that they could redesign the head. They've already redesigned the base plates. There's bound to be a way they can redesign this to make it more consistent. Saying that, it goes off more times than it doesn't, but still, in my opinion, that's a design flaw. So now I just want to talk to you about the Qu8ke holster that Tectonic Innovations have come out with as well. Really nice little product. I'm going to show you it connected to my plate carrier as it currently is. So as you can see, it's connected to the cummerbund. So the Qu8ke holster itself is great. The only thing I take issue with is the clip that they use to connect it through the MOLLE system. It is horrific. So the whole purpose of it is to contain this grenade and have the grenade ripped from it easily, but also have good retention on it. Now, whenever you rip this out of the holster, you're then pulling the clip apart as well, and you're going to basically lose the Qu8ke holster if it comes apart. So the solution I've done is basically put a cable tie around the bottom of the clip. You can probably purchase other clips that you can use to connect it to your MOLLE system, or whatever you want to do, but a simple cable tie will fix that problem itself. So the real question is the Tectonic Innovations Quake good enough to replace the TRMR? Absolutely. So without TRMR in the market, there is a massive gap in the market, and this is the space that Tectonic Innovations are looking to fill. It's a fantastic product. To be fair, 7 shots off a grenade is unheard of. It's really, really good. It's a lot of shots. It's probably the maximum that size of base could hold in the first place. So if you are looking for a really good grenade, this is the one to go for. I've used like gas grenades, bang type grenades and things like that there in the past, and they're just not great. The TRMR I've had has always been really good, and this is just as effective as the TRMR. So really hard to get your hands on one of these. So if you can't get a TRMR, this is definitely the best alternative on the market. So moving on to probably the big reason why some of you might be watching is we're going to get rid of these. This. So I just want to say a massive thank you to UK Fob for providing the grenades for the review, and this one in particular for the giveaway. So I've asked for it particularly in the UK Fob colorway, which is really nice. So I'm going to be giving this away. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel and comment your location. So this giveaway is for UK over 18s only. So if you're over 18 living in the UK, just simply subscribe to the channel and comment on this video with where you are. Guys, if you're unfortunately not the winner of this grenade, then you still can get plenty of them from UK Fob. So just head over to the website ukfob.co.uk and use my discount code RS5 for 5% off, and anything else that you want to purchase from the store as well. Guys, thank you so much for making it this far. If you found this review helpful, please leave a like. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section as well. And if you're looking for some more airsoft content, don't forget to check out my social media pages. Thanks very much, guys. See you on the next one. Very simply, I'll break this down and show you. Oh shit. It's not supposed to happen.